Once upon a time, in a small, sun-drenched village nestled between rolling green hills, lived a young man named Leo. Leo wasn't just any young man. He was a master carpenter, known throughout the land for his incredible skill. From intricate carvings to sturdy furniture, anything Leo touched turned into a work of art. But Leo had a secret. Despite his talent, he was plagued by a relentless feeling of dissatisfaction. Every finished piece, no matter how perfect it appeared to others, felt flawed in his eyes. He saw the tiny imperfections no one else noticed. The grain that didn't align exactly as he'd envisioned. The joint that was a hair's breadth off. His workshop, a place that should have been a sanctuary of creation, had become a chamber of self-criticism. He'd spend days on a single chair, only to cast it aside, convinced it wasn't good enough. His woodpile grew not with finished products, but with abandoned projects, monuments to his own perceived failures. Villagers would come eager to buy his work, but Leo would often turn them away, saying, "It's not ready yet. It's not perfect." His pursuit of perfection was becoming a prison, and the joy he once found in his craft was slowly turning to dust. One sunny afternoon, an old traveler named Ilara wandered into the village. Her face was a roadmap of wrinkles, each line telling a story, and her eyes held a spark of gentle wisdom. Hearing whispers of the gifted but tormented carpenter, she made her way to Leo's workshop. She found him hunched over a half-finished table, his brow furrowed in concentration and frustration. Sawdust clung to his clothes like a second skin. "A fine piece of oak," Ilara said, her voice soft as worn leather. Leo jumped, startled. He hadn't heard her enter. He quickly threw a cloth over the table. "It's nothing," he muttered. "Just another failure." Ilara smiled kindly. "May I see?" she asked reluctantly. Leo pulled the cloth away. The tabletop was smooth as glass, the legs expertly turned. To Ilara, it looked magnificent. "Failure, my dear boy, this is beautiful," Leo scoffed. "Look closer," he said, pointing to a minuscule knot in the wood. "This imperfection, it ruins the whole thing. It can't be perfect with this flaw." Ilara ran her hand over the knot. "Ah, but you see a flaw. I see a story. This little knot tells of the tree's life, of a branch that once grew there, reaching for the sun. It doesn't ruin the piece. It gives it character. It makes it unique." She then gestured to the pile of discarded projects in the corner. "You've built a fortress of almosts and not quites," she observed gently. "You are so focused on a destination called perfect that you've forgotten to enjoy the journey of creation." Leo looked at the old woman, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. He'd been so obsessed with an impossible standard that he'd lost the love for the work itself. Ilara continued, "Perfection is a mirage in the desert, always just out of reach. But progress, growth, and the joy of doing what you love, that is the real treasure. You have a gift, Leo. Don't let the shadow of perfection steal its light." She then shared a story from her own life. She had been a weaver, And for years she tried to weave a tapestry with no mistakes, no dropped stitches, no uneven threads. The pressure made her miserable, and her work became stiff and lifeless. One day, in a moment of frustration, she intentionally wove a bright red thread where a blue one should have been. It was a glaring mistake, but as she continued, she found that the red thread brought an unexpected vibrancy to the entire piece. It became a focal point, a spark of life. The villagers who saw it called it her masterpiece. She learned then that our imperfections are not our enemies. They are part of our humanity, part of our story. They are what make us and our creations authentic and beautiful. Ilaros' words resonated deep within Leo. For the first time in years, he looked at his work differently. He picked up a discarded rocking horse, one he'd abandoned because the wood grain on one side was darker than the other. Now he saw it not as a flaw, but as a charming birthmark. He saw the story of the tree it came from. He spent the rest of the day with Alara, not working, but talking. He learned to see the beauty in the incomplete, the character in the asymmetrical, and the life in the so-called flawed. The next morning, Leo woke with a renewed sense of purpose. He walked into his workshop, but instead of seeing a room full of failures, he saw a room full of possibilities. He took the oak table he had been agonizing over and decided to embrace the knot. He carefully carved a small, swirling pattern around it, turning the imperfection into the centerpiece of the design. It was no longer a flaw to be hidden, but a feature to be celebrated. He felt a wave of relief and joy wash over him, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years. The act of creating was fun again. He began to finish his abandoned projects. He sanded the rocking horse, polished its birthmark, and gave it a flowing mane made of twine. He assembled a bookshelf, appreciating the unique character of each piece of wood. He wasn't aiming for an abstract idea of perfection anymore. He was aiming for completion, for expression, for joy. He was simply doing what he loved. Word spread through the village that Leo's workshop was open again. People flocked to see his work, and they were amazed. His creations were still masterfully crafted, but now they had something more. They had soul. They felt alive, imbued with the passion and happiness of their creator. Leo's story teaches us a powerful lesson that applies to every aspect of our lives, whether we're carpenters, artists, students, or professionals. It's the lesson of good enough. In our culture, we are often pushed to chase perfection. We see curated, flawless images on social media. We hear stories of overnight success, and we start to believe that anything less than perfect is a failure. But this mindset is a trap. It can lead to procrastination, anxiety, and a chronic feeling of inadequacy. We get so scared of not being perfect that we end up doing nothing at all. Like Leo, we can become paralyzed by the fear of making a mistake. Think about a project you've been putting off because you're waiting for the perfect time or the perfect idea. Think about a skill you've wanted to learn but were afraid you would be good at it immediately. The pursuit of perfection is often just a fancy mask for the fear of being judged, of failing. The truth is, progress is far more valuable than perfection. Finishing a project that's 80% perfect is infinitely better than having a spec 100% perfect idea that never leaves your head. Taking that first clumsy step is more important than dreaming about a flawless performance. Like Elara's red thread, our mistakes and imperfections are often what make us unique and interesting. They are evidence that we are trying, that we are learning, that we are living. They are not signs of failure. They are signs of effort. So, how can we apply this in our own lives? Start by embracing the concept of a minimum viable product or a first draft. Give yourself permission to create something that isn't polished. Write the messy first draft of that novel. Sketch the clumsy first drawing. Record the unedited first take of your video. The goal isn't to create a masterpiece on the first try. The goal is to get something, anything, down. Once you have something tangible, you can always refine it, improve it, and build upon it. It's so much easier to edit something than to create it from a complete void. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Did you spend 15 minutes working on that project you've been avoiding? Awesome, that's a win. Did you learn one new chord on the guitar? Fantastic. Acknowledge your effort, not just the outcome. This shifts your focus from a daunting, impossible endpoint to the manageable, rewarding steps along the way. Remember Leo's journey. His greatest creations weren't the ones that were technically flawless, but the ones he finished with joy and authenticity. His happiness and success didn't come from achieving perfection. They came from letting go of it. So, whatever you are working on, whatever you are striving for, I encourage you to let go of the need to be perfect. Embrace the journey. Be proud of your efforts. Celebrate your progress. Finish what you start, even if it's not flawless. Your work, your life, and your happiness will be so much richer for it. You are not a machine designed for flawless output. You are a human being, and your imperfections are part of your beautiful, unique story. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope Leo's story resonated with you. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories and insights. ID. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Be about a time you let go of perfection and what happened. Until next time, be kind to yourself and keep creating.